So today amongst us we have Saksham Garg, we have Durjoy Datta, and we have Vikrant Khanna for their novels, which is here with me. So how are you guys doing, and what's going on? I would just generally ask everyone before we start, because I'm sure I just want to know from three of you that how is a normal day of a writer? Is your life normal, or you see something and it's just oh, I can add this to my plot, or what I'm writing? Or is it just normal for you? As an actor, for me, if I see something, it's always oh, that's the choice. Oh, I can do it like this. Sometimes it's really trouble for me, because then I can't live like a normal person. So how is it for you guys?
Who wants to take this?
Anyone.
Well, I'll go first. Anyone. For me, for sure. The Notepad app is always open in my phone. And I think more than anything, it's just compulsive note-taking that allows for the final material in the computer. So just a compilation of a lot of different mini observations, for sure, yeah.
Go ahead, Victor. Go ahead. So, for me, I think most of my inspiration is very strange. It comes from other writers. So the minute I start reading a lot, I feel like I have to write something. So I get obsessed with a certain writer, and I'm like, okay, my next book is going to be a copy of this. I just hope people haven't read. A lot of people haven't read this book. So I get obsessed, and then I'm like, now I have to write my first draft is often a very bad mimicry of the writer that I'm obsessed with. And it's during the second and the third draft when I've gotten over that writer, I'm probably obsessed over someone else. That is the time when I start fixing it. So for me, it's not as much as inspiration in that moment, as much as inspiration in that piece of time where I'm, just following one writer and his or her writing really closely, and I want to write like that. So for me, it works like that.
See, in my case, if I try too hard to write a book or think of an idea, it sort of never works for me. I have to just sort of let it go, and then in the unlikeliest of moments, right? Say when I'm driving a car or I'm listening to a song, that's when an idea sort of hits me, and that's when I know I have to write it. But if I actively think of an idea, it never comes to me.
Amazing. So Saksham, I'll ask to you that when you started with your novel Samsara, and I got to know that you wrote it in the school. What made you choose this topic of and especially mythology, because it's not easy to write mythology, especially
honestly, it was a combination of two events, very similar to how I think Vikrant was talking about it earlier, right? With the combination of Durjoy's overdraft process, right? Taking inspiration from others, honestly. So it started off with the two events. Was when I was running around Landur up in Mussoorie, where my school was, and oftentimes when you come up from Dehradun to Mussoorie, you see a lot of "Welcome to the land of the gods," Dev Nagari ya Dev Bhumi mein aapka swagat hai. And I often wondered that if I was ever going to write a book where the deities and gods were alive and kicking today in 2023, it would have to be here. So that's where the setting came from. And the true seed of the inspiration, which is my way of trying to make popular classical Hinduism, namely the earlier scriptures, 2500 BC, Rig Veda, the Puranas, Upanishads, etc., right? And in that order as well of appearance in our history. So I got introduced to a lot of translations of the classical Hinduism texts in school. And I often wondered, right, the earliest scripture in Hinduism and arguably the world is the Rig Veda, but who is the primary deity, one who covers over 3/4 of the text? And it was surprising to know that no one in my household at least knew that it was Lord Indra, right, the king of the gods, who is also Zeus, Zeus or Jupiter in different mythologies, right? So it was just a combination of both of these things that led me to this particular topic.
Amazing. My next question is for Durjoy. It's been 16 to 17 years for you you've been writing love and romance and everything. So how is it for you to still be relatable to the audience, and how do you go about it to relate to audience? Because times are changing, you know. First it was like, for me as well, like now there are dating apps. Pehle dating apps nahi hote the, and it has become a crucial role in, you know, our lives of romance and like idolizing love stories. So how do you still
so firstly, I have stopped trying to relate to the audience. So I realized that around, I think 5-6 years ago, when I said, okay, I'm not going to write relatable books anymore. I'm going to write about what I know. I realized that there is a definite difference between writing behavior that's relatable or writing behavior that's recognizable. Now, relatable is something that you see on Instagram Reels, where mummy ne tinde bana diye is a relatable thing, right? Everyone knows, but it's accepted that, okay, this is an acceptable thing and you're just making something on it. But recognizable behavior is something that you would not exhibit or you would not admit in front of other people. You would probably not even admit it to yourself. But when you read it in a book, you should go like, oh, I thought it's only me. But this writer knows this about me. How is this possible? So now I realize that there is a little bit of difference between writing relatable books and writing about behaviors that you think are unique to you, but are maybe not.
Yeah. Amazing. So Vikrant, I have a question for you. That how do you start writing a thriller novel? What like from where your journey started? You know, like, because thriller is something we don't come across every day, right? Like it's not a thing that it's very like, you know what I mean.
Funny.
So where did you start?
I started writing romance novels like back in the day, and then
okay.
But I realized, you know, I was reading mostly thrillers or mysteries, psychological thrillers, you know, in that genre, and the entire sort of subset of thrillers. And I was also watching the movies or, you know, let's say the TV shows in the same genre. And that's the time it sort of hit me, you know, sort of I enjoy thrillers far more than romance. So why should I not be writing thrillers, right? And that's when I, you know, made this pivot that maybe I should start writing thrillers or mystery, you know, in that genre. Hopefully I stick with it this time.
Amazing. Saksham, I have another question for you, and that is, it's been 10 years for your writing journey. How does it feel? Matlab, how has the journey been? Has it been to your expectations, or it has been different? Like, what's going on?
It still hasn't hit me, and I thought it would, you know, month to maybe 6 months on, but it hasn't yet. And in terms of like whether or not it's met the expectations, surpassed it, etc., I think again, it wasn't like one expectation. I think in the journey I went through different levels of it. There were times when I was like, I'm going to make it the biggest thing ever, or there were times like, even if you just get a top traditional publishing house like Penguin or Harper, just be happy, right? You'll have added your book to that list of authors, and you know, it'll survive the test of time and stuff like that. And there were times when I was just like, okay, you know what, like there were different levels to it. And I'm happy to say that I'm definitely higher up in terms of the way it turned out, in the average or the mean of those different expectations right now. It's doing well. But the process, the journey of it all, again, is what mattered to me the most. And I'm just waiting to go back into it and, you know, work on the second book in the series.
Amazing. Durjoy, I want to ask you the process of a novel. I mean, do you develop a character and then go about the plot, or you develop a plot and then you think about the characters? How is it for you?
Except for one book, all my other books, they start from a central character trait that I want to change by the end of the book. So I chart out that character graph first, and everything else sort of come in the process of writing the book. So I'm not a very plot heavy writer, except one book I wrote a romantic thriller, so that plot I knew that okay, these are the things that are going to happen. But apart from that, I really don't write down plots, because I know that I'm going to change everything in the end anyway.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. I'll ask Vikrant that writing a thriller novel or something, there are a lot of twists and turns. So are those the primary element of your writing, and how do you go about it?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You know, every thriller needs to have sort of a healthy dose of twists and, you know, cliffhangers, red herrings. that's what sort of makes a thriller fast-paced and interesting, engaging to the reader. I mean, you need to sort of hit the reader really hard, right? So he can continue reading it. And twists and cliffhangers is one sort of plot device through which all writers sort of do it. So the way I do it is whenever I'm writing, at least whenever I'm writing a thriller, I have a fair amount of an idea how it would end, right? But then I don't need to go from, let's say, beginning to the end in a straight line, right? I take a lot of diversions along the way. I sort of pose a lot of questions for the readers, let them find the answers. So more questions, more answers. And just when I think that, a reader might be comfortable with the story, he knows where it's going, that time, bang, I sort of, I plot sort of a cliffhanger or a red herring or a twist.
Amazing. Okay. I have a question for Saksham now, that venturing into the world of samsara, take us through the whole process. Like, how did you weave the whole story, and where did it all start from, and like everything? Because I'm sure there are a lot of young writers who would want to know. There are a lot of readers who are curious that what went wrong.
And that's a
how
difficult one.
Put together.
Yeah, it is. All right. I think it started with a football injury. Right out of college, economics here at Hindu Delhi University, I found myself, sitting for placements, but not really finding anything that I wanted to do. Took a gap year, and in that gap year, during a football match, had a horrendous leg injury that restricted me to a bed for 11 months. So I cried for the first 1 month, and then there was a book that I, wanted to write. So that's when I started writing. And I wanted it to reach the masses, because there is a core idea that I'm trying to bring forward through all of this sugar coating outside the pill, right? In the form of laughter, love, twists, all of it. So it was important that this book that I finished over that 11-month period as a bedridden, injured player, I figured out a way to get it to a top traditional publishing house.
That's a beautiful journey, I must say. And now, there's a similar question for Durjoy as well. That what's that one reason that audience should read your book, especially the latest one?
Yeah, I mean,
there can be many reasons, but
there is no nobler reason to read books than to just read them because they happen to be fun. It is, I mean, earlier I used to give all these long-winded answers that, books make you a better person. It teaches you empathy, which is true. All of that is still true. It does. I mean, no other medium does it better than a book. I mean, when people keep arguing about some ideology or something, I know that there is no point of doing all of this unless you can give them a book and say, okay, read this book. If you change your mind, we can discuss this again. So I do believe in all of that, but I think at this point in time where books are competing with literally everything and every medium is so easily accessible, books give that a sort of a sustained joy. I mean, you can swipe through Instagram the entire day, which is something that I often do. But I'll never wake up the next day and say that, oh, I had such a great day yesterday because I swiped through 200 reels. But if I finish reading a book, I will definitely remember it. So it's fun. It takes a little bit out of you, but the returns are great.
For me, fiction is everything. Like, and that joy, how you spoke about, you can go through 200 Instagram reels, but you won't be satisfied. But when you finish a book and you get to know the world, you're like, I wish I could stay there for long, and I wish I could just know a little, and you're just satisfied. Any of you would like to answer this question? I want 3 of you to answer this question. What is that one message for all the young writers? Because I don't think so. Writing is the most conventional form of career choice. मतलब घर में जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, I don't think so कोई बोलता है कि बड़े होके writer बनना है, doctor, engineer, blah blah सबके पास होता है. But that's your own choice. ऐसा कोई आप पे थोपी नहीं जाती. And I'm sure it takes a lot to make your name in this industry because it's not easy. So what's that one message for all the writers who want to become big or want to start, but they're afraid of it?
I think the first thing is that you should read as much as you can. Any novice writer, he needs to read a lot of books, and not just the genres he likes, or the authors he likes, I think he should read from a wide variety, different genres, different authors.
Just adding, I mean, I agree with 100%. That was my first point. Just read a lot. That's the only way you know how to write. Second, I would also ask people to just write for an audience from the get-go. You write for someone who's reading. So you keep them in mind and write for maximum impact. So now that you have the feedback loops easily available on, say, a newsletter, an Instagram post, Instagram story, etc., you should use it.
To complement what Vikrant said, in addition to like read, definitely write. I think writing is one of those art forms where you're automatically a better writer than someone else if you've just written more, I feel. So the number of words, right? So just write about anything and everything and do a lot of active writing.
Amazing. With this, I would really like to thank all of you for joining this live. It was amazing. I'm sure a lot of readers and a lot of writers as well will be really grateful for the insights. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Arishit. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.